Hey everybody, welcome back to Old School Scares. Today we're going to do our ranking of the Friday the 13th movies. Very excited to do this. As you can see, love Friday the 13th, always have. One of my favorite horror series of all time, probably my favorite of all time. And this is really the movie that got me in from monster movies to creature features, the Frankensteins and Creature from the Black Lagoons into the slasher genre. And I absolutely loved it. I saw this, the first movie, when I was 8 years old in 1981. My babysitter Heather wasn't supposed to let me watch it, but we watched it on free TV, and even though it was free TV, they still had all the gore in there, and it just sucked me in, but it also scared the hell out of me. So I'm very excited to share it with you. I want to go through and kind of walk through each movie. We're going to go through the whole franchise, worst to best. My ranking will probably be different than your ranking, so share with me in the comments if your ranking is different. I know I have a different favorite Friday than most folks, so I'll tell you that right now up front, but I'll tell you why I love it. What my goal is to do in here is just talk about the movie itself, the quality of the movie, would I watch it again, do I like it, and then I'm going to try to rate the best scare in each movie and why I put it where I did. So let's kind of go right from the beginning, and let's go, in my opinion, the worst of the Friday movies, which is going to be Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Man, this is just a bad movie. I don't like this movie. I don't watch it when it's on. I think it's not well done. Weak Kills, New Beginning, and this are just the worst of the series. It's the only two I won't watch when it's on. We're retconning Jason's story, eight movies into it, and it's just not a good movie. The kills aren't great. They've kind of, the MPAA at this time kind of just neutered the movie, so there wasn't a lot of blood, there wasn't a lot of gore, not a ton of scares. There's a couple of cool things in it. Obviously, anytime we have Kane Hodder as Jason, you're gonna have a great Jason in the movie. But holistically, not a good movie. I'll tell you that the parts that I think are good in the movie, Jason going to Manhattan, the downtown scene is really cool when he goes up to the punks and they have their boombox playing, and Jason raises up their mask, and they all just kind of just kind of take off because they haven't seen anything like that in Times Square. Julius punching Jason's head off is a pretty neat scene. And then the best scare in the movie, in my opinion, is Kelly Hughes' death on the dance floor, where Jason's kind of teleporting around for the first time. That's actually pretty freaky, and I think they do a pretty good job with that. So that's going to be my lowest ranked, number 12 out of the Friday movies. Number 11, I have Jason, New Beginning, Part 5. Oh boy, what a mess this movie is, right? Roy Burns is there, not Jason. Again, the kills are okay. I put this a little higher than 8 because the kills are better. But this movie is just all over the place. Bad acting, tons of excessive nudity. Again, just not a great movie at all. I mean, it's kind of all over the place, and I'm not a really big fan of this movie. When I was thinking about what the best scare in this movie was, there's not a lot of great ones. I would probably say it's Tommy's dream at the end, where he's potentially going to become the new Jason, and it really is a little bit freaky. It does kind of change how the potential of what the franchise could have done, right? And being part of the Tommy Jarvis trilogy, it does get ranked a little higher than 8, but man, not much. It is not a great movie. So when we get into the next ones, now we get into what I have as number 10, and that's Freddy versus Jason. Now from here on out, I actually like all these movies. I actually think they're pretty good. As you can see, we've got Freddy and Jason sitting back here. I actually think the rest of these movies are pretty solid. And here's what I feel about Freddy vs. Jason. It's a fun movie. I think they did the best they could with the property to try to make it cohesive to the franchise and pay respect to both characters, right? So I think they did a pretty good job there. Here's what I will tell you. I think the first 2/3 of the movie isn't great. I think the last third is excellent. I think the Freddy vs. Jason fight is just a great fight throughout the movie, and I enjoyed it a ton. So I love it for that reason. If you're looking for a great movie, just to have fun with, I think this is a fun entry in the franchise, and I think both Freddy and Jason shine in this movie. And I only wish Kane had a chance to play Jason here. But again, they wanted someone a little bigger, and it does pay off. You can see the size difference between the two. It works well. Jason's that big hulking character. The best death I had in there was Mark's death in the movie. And again, Mark gets killed by Freddy, but man, that's a pretty creepy scene when he's in the bathroom. There's a couple other pretty good scenes, right, when Trent gets folded up in the bed. He's such a dick. You're so happy to see him die. But again, holistically, the kills are okay. There's not a ton of great scares, but I think that scene with Mark, where he seems genuinely freaked out in that scene, is pretty good. Now, what I have for number 9 is actually Friday the 13th, Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell. And again, an interesting movie. I love the fact that this movie tried to do something different. I feel bad that it didn't entirely work, but there is some great gore in this movie. The body horror in this is unbelievable. And this is, I remember seeing this in the theater, and man, the crowd went nuts when Freddy's glove came out of the ground and pulled Jason's hockey mask in. So there's a couple of really cool, iconic scenes in this movie. Creighton Duke is an absolute badass. Love Creighton Duke in this movie. I think he just rocks. He's a great character. And then you also had Steven and Jessica, who are the kind of the main characters at the end. They're great foils for Jason, right? They work well together. It's a good character, or good characters, right? As they're trying to figure out how to defeat Jason now in this new form of Jason. So I think it's very well done. There's a couple of really good deaths in this movie, but for me, my favorite death, or my favorite scare, excuse me, in the movie, truly would have to be the diner scene. I think it's, especially if you watch it in the unrated cut, this movie is the one movie, if you see the unrated version, is wildly different. There's a ton more gore. So I would say try to see the unrated cut if you can, because the unrated cut is significantly better. And that gore in the diner scene is awesome, right? There's a ton of great gruesome deaths. But there's also a pretty sad scene where Vicky, who is Jessica's friend, is trying to protect Jessica's baby. And she gets killed by Jason, and man, it's not obviously Jason. It's the news reporter kind of masquerading as Jason. But wow, what a powerful death, and it was pretty impactful. I thought it was very well done, and it gave some sympathy in a movie that was maybe more tongue in cheek. So really good movie. Part 8 would be Jason X. Man, here's the deal. I really like Jason X. I know it's a bad movie. I have no misconceptions that it's a good movie. The sets are cheesy. The acting isn't great, but it's a fun movie, and I think Jason in this movie shines. Again, I just think there's a ton of great stuff in there. Uber Jason's awesome. Brodsky and KM, right? So you have the Marine and the Android that fight against Jason are great. So again, I enjoy that a hell of a lot. It's a lot of fun. Again, one of the best deaths in the movie right at the very beginning with the liquid nitrogen death with the face smash is absolutely phenomenal. So from a makeup standpoint, it's just great. It's just a fun movie that I enjoy. Again, you can't take it too seriously, but Uber Jason's kind of a cool character, and I do enjoy this movie quite a bit. The best scare in the movie, again, not a particularly scary Friday, but I would say it's Rowan's death at the beginning, where she's getting chased after the soldiers get killed in the cryogenic facility at Crystal Lake, and she's getting chased in, and there's this kind of cat and mouse between her and Jason, and then she gets stabbed and frozen as well as Jason. I think that's a pretty good effective scare at the beginning of the movie. Number 7 is going to be part 7. Man, this movie is another one of those movies I really like, and it's interesting because it's really just Carrie versus Jason. They couldn't get the rights to Carrie White. It wasn't like they could do the remake with Freddy versus Jason, but man, it's a great movie from a fun standpoint. There's a couple of really dumb things in here. Tina's dad just kind of coming up out of the lake and just being muddy after being 10 years out of the water makes zero sense. But man, the last scene between Jason and Tina is awesome. I love when they have the decapitated head that headbutts Jason in the plant, Jason falling through the ground, the nails hitting Jason in the face, getting caught on fire, his mask squeezing and blasting off of his face. There's so many cool, iconic shots in this movie, and it's just a ton of fun. So I'm a big fan of this movie, and I would tell you the best scare in this movie / best death would absolutely be Melissa's death. Just absolutely brutal in this scene, right? She is such a great bitchy character. And then she opens the door, and Jason just buries the axe in her head and then just tosses her body across the screen. And I'm like, wow, that is a great, brutal death. And a movie that doesn't have a ton of scares, that's probably the best one, and I think they do a nice job. So my 6th favorite Friday the 13th movie is going to be the remake. This movie, again, for me is very hit or miss. The acting isn't great, the characters aren't great, but there is some amazing gore, some amazing death scenes in the movie. And I will tell you that the first 20 minutes of this movie is absolutely incredible. This, for me, goes up there with like Dawn of the Dead and Ghost Ship, with just amazing startings of the movies or beginnings to a movie that, kind of fizzle out after that first 15 or 20 minutes. But man, I'm talking about the Dawn of the Dead remake too. These are just great at the beginning. Again, the movie stays solid throughout the rest, but that beginning part of the movie is great. And I actually think one of the scariest death scenes in the whole series, or scariest scenes in the whole series, is that initial scene at the end. We have the couple with the girl in the sleeping bag that's being burned alive, and then her boyfriend goes to save her, and he gets caught in the bear trap. And as he's trying to be rescued by one of the other characters, Jason just buries a machete in his head, and it is brutal. So I think there's a great scare scene. That first 20 minutes is phenomenal. After that, it gets to be a more by-the-numbers slasher. It's not quite as good, but still pretty good, right? Now we're going to get into the top 5. Top 5 for me, part 1 is my 5th favorite Friday movie. Again, a good, solid Friday movie. It started it all. You have a mystery around who the killer was, great atmospheric setting. Betsy Palmer and Adrian King do a great job as Mrs. Voorhees and Alice. I think they just kind of kick ass. Two great female protagonists, or female protagonists and antagonists, right? Great characters in the movie. And this was the one that started it all for me. Now, this was a little tough because I would say, as I was thinking about the best scare in the movie, the part that freaked me out when I was a little kid was literally one of the first deaths in the movie, and it was Annie's death, right? Annie was going to be the cook. She's the first person you see when we get into modern times, and she's the one that gets her throat slit in the woods. And man, that freaked me out when I was a kid. I was like, holy cow, like that looks so real, and it just scared the hell out of me. So I love that scene, but I think the more iconic scare scene, and the one that stands out to most people, is when Alice gets sucked under the water, or pulled under the water by Zombie Jason, the little boy Zombie Jason, in the canoe at the very end of the movie. Now, this is where it's going to get a little bit more challenging, right? Because we're on the top four, and my top four is probably going to be different than most you've seen for the Friday rankings, because I have Part 6 as my fourth favorite Friday the 13th movie. This is where you get Zombie Jason, right? You get great effects works. Jason's unstoppable. Tom Matthews as Tommy Jarvis is awesome. He's one of the faces of the franchise, in my opinion, along with Kane Hodder and Adrian King. They just kind of represent what the franchise is all about. He does a great job with it. And Tommy's a great, likable character. So is Megan, the love interest in the movie. She's a great character, our great final girl in the movie. And her father, Sheriff Garris, is awesome. Like a very realistic character, somebody who's trying to protect his town, somebody who's trying to protect his daughter. I thought there was just some great stuff in here. This is a very meta movie, right? There's a ton of fourth wall breaking, a lot of different things going on in the movie. That was pretty cool. But what I thought was the best scare in this movie, and even though Jason doesn't kill any of the kids, man, it's freaky seeing Jason standing above the kids. Like, those kids, seem like some of them seem very genuinely terrified. And it's a pretty cool scene to see Jason at a camp actually going after the kids, which is very different for the franchise. So I would say that's the best scare in that movie. Part 3, Jason part 3. So we get into Part 3, that's where Jason gets his mask. It's iconic, it's 3D. The 3D does not hold up well, the acting is terrible. If you watch Dead Meat like I do, James can't stop making fun of Chili's acting in the movie. It is really, really bad. It's not good, right? There's a few things in there that aren't great. I think the best scare though would be Rick's head getting crushed. No, I'm just messing with you. That's not it's actually not a bad scene. It's just the effects are so bad that it takes you out of it. I do think there's a pretty good genuine scare in this movie, and there's a couple actually. I really like the scene with the bikers in the barn. Where they're one by one kind of methodically being stalked by Jason. And this is in the daylight, so you're kind of seeing more of what's going on. But I think the best scare in the movie is when Jason's being hung by his neck from the barn, and Chris thinks he's dead, and he raises up his mask, and you see that really kind of creepy face of Jason. I thought it was really, really effective, and I think that's a really great scene. My second favorite Friday movie, Friday the 13th, Part 4, New Beginning. I'm sorry, Final Chapter. Not New Beginning, Final Chapter. 5 is New Beginning, 5 is Crown. 4 is Final Chapter. This is where a lot of people have 4 or 6 as their favorite. I really do like 4. I think everything is amped up in 4. The acting, the gore, the production value. I think everything is better in 4 than it is in parts 1 through 4. I think there's a ton of great stuff in 4. I think this is the beginning of the Tommy Jarvis trilogy. The makeup work is great. This movie is all about jump scares compared to any other Friday movie. And that's why I would say the best scares are in this is the jump scares, right? We know this is where Jason dies. We know we have Tommy freak out and just, destroy him with the machete. The really cool makeup effects, the developing of the characters. And again, having some characters that are more realistic. Having that family environment, with Tommy and his sister and his mom at the cabin with the kids across the lake trying to camp. It really does bring the series more to more human the characters become in this movie, and I think it does a really good job of that. But the jump scares are where this is at, right? There's a ton of jump scares in this movie. That's where the scares lie. It's Jason throwing somebody through a window, or Jason being unconscious then jumping to life. Even that twitch at the end with Jason, where Tommy just freaks out and just starts slashing him with the machete. Just a really good movie, and I would tell you again, one of the best in the franchise, with a ton of really good things to make you want to watch it. Great acting, great production, great kills. Just a really good favorite Friday movie. And for me, it's very different than most of you guys have. And I know this is surprising, but it's Friday the 13th, Part 2. Friday the 13th, Part 2 just kicks ass in every single way. It, in my opinion, has the best scares. The scariest Jason. Baghead Jason is freaky. He scares the hell out of me still today, and I think he's the best version of Jason that we had in any of the movies, right? The mask with the one eye hole, the overalls, just the environment that he's in. I think Jason in that environment is incredibly scary. You have the best final girl with Ginny. Jenny's incredible, right? She's the child psychology. She uses it on Jason, right? She tries to do everything she can to stay alive. She's incredibly intelligent, very self-reliant, just a great final girl in the series, and I absolutely love everything that Ginny brings to the table in this movie. I also believe out of any of the Friday the 13th movies, this by far has the best scare out of any of the movies. And it's a scene where Ginny and Paul go back to the cabin, and the cabin's completely blacked out. And Paul's walking around the room, and Ginny realizes there's somebody in the room with him. And she's like, Paul, there's somebody in this room. Paul, there's somebody in this fucking room. And man, that scene still today, even though I've seen this movie probably 30 times, still gives me goosebumps, right? It still gets me freaked out, and it's still very, very scary, and they do a great job with it. So for me, Friday the 13th Part 2, I think it does everything Part 1 did better. I think it's still so new in the series that it's still fresh. I think the kills are really solid. I think Ginny's an amazing final girl, and I think it genuinely has the best scare in the series. So I hope you enjoyed this ranking video. If you haven't had a chance to do so far, please hit the like and subscribe button. Old School Scares, new channel for us. We're excited to share more stuff with you. More monster movies coming soon, more ranking videos. Like I said, haunted houses, yard haunts, everything we can share with you around horror we want to. So thank you for checking out the video. We hope you have an awesome day. Stay scary, and we'll talk to everybody soon.